Okay, let's review this game. The game started with London system, knight f3, e6, e3, knight d7, and bishop d3. So actually, I will play c4. And the reason is quite clear because black has already moved the bishop to the king side, and white can attack the pawn. And on the other hand, if I play as black, I will play c5. And the same reason is the dark square bishop moves to f4, so the queen can go to b6, attack the b2 pawn. So white offer a bishop trade and knight gf6. So yeah, I mean, queen b3, attacking the b7 pawn is still something we can consider because it's really tricky for black to protect the pawn. If black play b6, the light squares will become weak. Now white can keep pushing the pawn. After the pawn exchange, the c7 pawn will be like a target. And if knight to b6, white can kick the knight with a4, a5. Yeah, if you play a5, I will move knight to c3 and knight b5. So it's good to be aware what is the weakness you can target on board. So knight to d2, c5. Black push the c pawn and queen b5. Well, so after pawn to c5, the queen can go to b6, so the queen b5 is not that helpful. So castling, make the king safe, is a good option. So queen b5, queen b6, and we'll trade the queens. So if you look at the board, so in this position we have queen at d3, which is more higher up than the d8 queen. And if you look at the knight at d7 instead of b6. And after all the exchange, my good queen has been exchanged with like queen at da. Queen at da is just at the starting position. So we trade a good queen with um, just a regular queen, and black developed the knight to b6. So the exchange favors black. So which means, yeah, when we move queen to b5, we need to calculate what is the move from black. And queen b6 is not hard to find. And we need to evaluate, does the exchange favor us or our opponent? And we have quite a lot of time on the clock. So it's worth spending some time to evaluate the exchange. Knight e5, control the center, knight back to d7. So actually black can move the rook to c file, and once open up the c file, the rook can even go to c2. Knight to d7, offer exchange. Yeah. Why do we have to exchange our knight with the knight? We have a center knight, right? And we can move this knight to f3 to connect the two knights. So our knight is way better than d7. So why do we take the knight? We have quite a lot of time on the clock. So we just take 4 seconds to make the move. And yeah, we need to think about, should we accept the exchange seriously. Knight f3, bishop e7, rook c1, castle, and c3. Black pushed the pawn. So now black has started launch attack at the queen side. This is good. Knight to d2, c4. So knight has built up a great space at the queen side, and later knight a4 is coming, attacking b2 and also b4. If we are ready, if we have rooks at the a file, we can open up the a file. And since black has much more space than white, so it's actually easier for black to control the queen side or the open file once it's open. e4, Yeah. So I will play f3 and e4 because if we play e4 after the exchange, the knight will go to a very good space. Knight d5, right? And f5. I think the bishop is being trapped. It's going to be trapped. We can move the bishop to d6, and after the exchange, so even though this dark square bishop might be better than the e7 bishop, but if we look at the board after the exchange, our knight will become active. We can double attack pawns. And rook to b8, we can play a4 to keep attacking the queen side. And we can destroy the pawn structure if you take and take c4 and take a4 or a5. So this exchange is something we can consider. This exchange is looks good. And the problem, as I said, bishop to g3, we will lose the bishop. It will be trapped. Like we can play rook c6 and f4, and black takes the knight, e5. So I think white always has an opportunity to push the pawn to a4 to destroy the pawn structure. And for black, I think it's good to push the pawn to prevent such moves. And and later, if we have knight f4, knight d3, we can attack the b2 pawn. Okay, so bishop d2. Yeah. So after the exchange, we will have an isolated pawn. This is bad. a4 is good, quite good. If you play b4, take, and we play a5, we'll have a passed pawn. Black will have a passed pawn, but the bishop is so strong to support the pawn. The knight cannot support the pawn going forward. But we have a bishop, protect the pawn moving to a7. And the position becomes very balanced. And if black take our pawn, that's what we're happy to see. We can attack two pawns. So a4. Yeah, so white has like a double amount of time on the clock. So white should think carefully what is the move. And it just took us like 10 or 20 seconds to make the move, and which makes our position becoming worse. Rook e5, exchange. Now we play a4, but it's late because we don't have the c3 pawn. After b4, the a4 pawn just help our opponent create a passed pawn. h4 and c2, knight c d3. How can we stop that? And I think white is losing. So yeah, I don't think white has a chance. The rook is very passive, and black has control the open file. The king is also more active. Rook d2, that's a very good move. Yeah, we'll have to walk through the rest of the game. So I think this game, so white should spend more time. It has a like worse position than its opponent, but it just spent very little time on the clock. And when it comes to piece exchange, white should be more careful to evaluate does exchange really favor us or opponent. Like, yeah, for example, queen b6. Of course, here we have to trade the queen, or do we? Maybe a4. Yeah, a4 is good. After exchange, even though we have double pawn, we have a semi-open file. We can attack e7, and we don't improve the position of the knight. After we take the queen, the knight takes. So black has improved the position of the knight. And also black can take the queen with the pawn. Black can open up the a file. And also the pawn can support c5, which is attacking the d4 pawn. So in this exchange only favors opponent. So it's not good to do that. And also exchange the knight with a d7. I don't see why do we have to exchange with a knight. Why don't we move knight to f3 to connect knight, control the center, and yeah, e4. So we after the exchange we make d5 square there. So can we just move f3 and e4 so we have a pawn close to the center, control the center. And yeah, so this is the time. This is time we should think about piece exchange, because our bishop will be trapped otherwise. But we have quite a lot of time on the clock. It'll play bishop to g3. So we have played 20 moves, and white only spent 2 or 3 minutes. That's not wise in terms of time management. Yeah, and bishop d6. We have asked ourselves what could be the move after this one. I mean, regardless, no matter it could be d4 or e4, black will have a very good pawn structure, and especially this one, we have an isolated pawn, and this pawn was captured later, right, at e5. This pawn was captured, and also after the c pawn moved to d4, black is really easy to create a passed pawn. So that's why we lose the game, and that's it.